Okay, so today there's an issue that's in the news almost every day being talked about, and it's a big issue because it deals with the community health, the financial stability of America, and the checks on government power. And it seems kind of odd because you wouldn't think that this subject has anything to do with all these things, but it's about healthcare. Right now, healthcare is a big issue because there's so many flaws in the system that it's affecting every aspect of the American government. So I want to talk about some of those flaws. I'm going to talk about how it's burdening the government financially, and I want to introduce President Obama's plan for how he proposed to fix these problems. Right now, the way that the healthcare system is working, it's solely operating for profits. And it's the middle class, the working class, that's being hurt the most, because obviously the wealthy, they can afford the premiums, or they can afford to not even have insurance. They can just pay the bills. And the lower income, they receive free health care from the government, from special programs that they have. So the middle class is really stuck in the middle, having to work, pay their taxes, and also pay for ever-increasing premiums. And to kind of represent this for you, I have a graph from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that was compiled in July of 2009. This blue line on the bottom shows the wage increase over the past 10 years, and this is the healthcare premiums increase over 10 years. Now this premiums, these are actually from jobs where you get discounted rates through an employer, but as you can see, it's still a dramatic increase, and actually equals almost 100% faster growth than the wage increases. So, every year wages are going up, but the premiums are going up 10 times faster. Okay, and some of the things about the healthcare system that really aren't working for the American people, and one of the biggest issues is that they do not accept people with pre-existing illnesses. So this means people who are sick and who need the insurance, need the treatments, that they're not allowed to receive those treatments. They have no way to pay for these. If they're sick and disabled, they can't work, they don't have any money, they can't afford the treatments, obviously. And President Obama, he spoke to Congress in September of this year, and he addressed healthcare, and he illustrated two stories of people who carried insurances and were dropped because they were seen as too expensive because of their illnesses. In one case, a man was currently undergoing chemotherapy for colon cancer, and his insurance company dropped him because he didn't claim a case of gallstones, but he didn't even know he had the gallstones. So he went through litigation with the insurance company, but he had to stop his chemotherapy, and he actually died before he ever got his insurance back because he was not able to receive those treatments. In another instance, a woman, breast cancer was found in one breast. The insurance company denied her claim, dropped her from the insurance, saying that she didn't claim a case of mild acne that she had at the time of application. So this allowed them to drop her. She was no longer eligible. And by the time she got the insurance back, the cancer had doubled. It spread to both breasts, and the only course of treatment for her was to have a radical mastectomy. So these are things that President Obama, he wants to fix because it's not working for the American people, but it's also not working for the government. Every year the government's spending billions of dollars on programs like Medicare and Medicaid. Now, Medicare is for the elderly. If you're over 65, you're eligible for Medicare, which is free health insurance from the government. They pay for hospital visits, prescriptions, but you do have a co-payment. And Medicaid is for low-income people, where they receive 100% free health care. Just Medicare alone is costing the government $386 billion a year, which all just adds into the deficit. And it's accounting for 13% of the budget from America. So it's projected that in a few years that the cost to keep the healthcare sector running is going to equal more than every other government expense, including roadways, education, law enforcement, military expenses, everything. It's going to equal more than that. So President Obama laid out a plan for his congressional speech, where he wants to introduce a 3-point plan. The first point is going to be he wants to create laws where it's going to regulate the out-of-pocket costs that a person can pay, because right now the two main insurance plans that there are is an HMO, where you pay a monthly premium and then you have co-pays when you do get the service that you want, or there's PPOs where you pay a monthly premium which is smaller than the HMO, but you also pay a percentage of the hospital bill or the doctor bill and things like that. So he wants to regulate how much you can be charged every year. And then also he wants to reverse the pre-existing illnesses being denied. He wants to make it illegal that everyone has to be accepted for an insurance if they can afford the premiums every month. The second point to this is his government option, which is probably the most controversial of all his points. He wants to have the government create a healthcare insurance option for a lower cost, which is gonna, because the free market, it's gonna drive the cost of every other company down to be able to compete with this option. Now, the opposition to President Obama's plan, they're saying that the free market's not going to be able to survive, that private companies cannot survive. They will not be able to compete with this option, and so that's why there's so many problems getting this plan into effect, because they're worried about private companies not surviving. And then the third part of this plan, which I think to just citizens sounds the most scary, is they want to make it mandatory for every citizen to carry health insurance, because the more people that are able to contribute into the healthcare system, it's going to lower costs for everybody. It's going to take the burden off the government, which, you know, in turn can lower taxes for people, and so forth. And really, it's not any different than, you know, almost every state requires you to have vehicle insurance to drive. It's almost the same concept. So all these things, you know, it's going to create almost similar to government provided, not in the sense that insurance is going to be provided, but that the entire populace will be available to receive this care. And, you know, we can see that in Canada, where healthcare is free, provided to all citizens. And also in Mongolia, a study was conducted where when they switched between a socialist to a democratic government, that's one of the things they instituted was free insurance. And you know, even in Canada, the difference between Canada and America, life expectancy is higher and fetal mortality is lower. And the biggest contributor to that is preventative care, because if you're able to go to the doctor and have routine screens, they're able to catch diseases and treat them, and it's going to save billions of dollars to be able to catch first stage cancer instead of when it's, you know, already too late. You have to have chemotherapy and surgeries. So preventative care is really important. Right now, Congress is going back and forth. They're arguing, try to come up with a plan, but hopefully they'll be able to figure it out. They'll take a lot of pressure, a lot of relief off the American people, who every day are going bankrupt over these issues, and just the entire community health can be raised. Okay, so now if the audience has any questions, now.
So why is President Obama's plan being opposed?
There's a lot of opposition to President Obama's plan. Like I said, one of the big issues on healthcare reform is the checks, that we're concerned that the government's going to be becoming too involved, that to have a government institution in the free market is kind of, a lot of people are thinking it's too much government involvement and that it's going to choke out the private sectors. So that's a big issue. And then also funding, you know, to be spending more money on this when there's such a huge deficit. And then, you know, also obviously the Democratic and Republican parties have different views on the specifics of it. So there's a lot of debate going back and forth right now in Congress about that.
Why don't we have free healthcare like Canada?
We don't have free healthcare like Canada because people don't want the government to have too much power. But I think the biggest issue is that to get something like that going, a very large amount of money is initially needed to start that system. But As seen in Mongolia, actually the Asian National Bank was the one who funded the healthcare, and they did spend a large expense up front, but in a short couple of years it was turning into profits. And even in Canada, the government is responsible for a much larger percentage than America is for providing healthcare, but they're spending less per capita and per percentage wise. They're spending less and providing it for more people. So I mean, that would be an ideal option, but that's kind of one of the things that's being debated about in Congress also. Okay.